Well, it's the end of another crazy year, 2021. We keep ticking them off, don't we? And it's been a busy one, not least because, of course, we had moving house. I managed to get COVID, so that wiped out a few weeks. And the usual COVID craziness continued. Nonetheless, I managed to film 171 boats for Aquaholic this year, which was pretty good going. And another 45 videos actually for Motorholic, which is my other channel. So yeah, it's kept me busy. And Marianne, bless her, now has her own YouTube channel, and you can guess who gets to edit those. So generally the question, where's Nick, can normally be answered. He's upstairs editing videos. Anyway, I thought it must be time for another top 10, a 2021 top 10. And with 170 plus boats to choose from, well, it's been quite a difficult choice. I could easily made it a top 20 or even a top 30, but no, we'll stick with tradition. Top 10 it is. And let's dive straight in. So what have we got? Well, at number 10, I'm going with a Haynes 36S. This was a brand new model. It's built by Haynes up in Norfolk in the UK. They're a small company. They do a lot of customization work. So they really do tailor their boats to individual requirements. And that particular boat, they questioned all of their clients, the smaller boats, and they came up with something that really worked for them. And it's a very intriguing boat. A lot of thought got into it. Nice quality, as Haynes always are. And yeah, definitely worthy of making the cut this year. This is the saloon area. Now there are two versions of the layout of this. This one's a single cabin, and you'll see that when we get down to the front. There is a second cabin version which puts the galley up here, but on this one the galley is further down. As I say, we'll wander through and look at that in just a minute. But one thing I do like is back here, this seat, you can see it's part of this seating area around here, but you can push that the other way. And that makes for a very, very nice aft facing seat looking out over the water. So that's fantastic. There's one more thing I want to show you before we go inside, which is super clever. Look at this doorway. Look how wide open this is. And the way that this is achieved, because normally if you have simple sliding doors, of course, they all end up sort of stacked here. But what they've done with this, check this out. If we lift that little clip there, this is so simple and so brilliant. That closes like that, and then slides across, and then this one does the same, and then that one is just a simple door. So that closes like so. How neat is that? That is one of the most clever saloon arrangement doors I think I've ever seen. Number 9, Bering B70, an absolutely rock solid machine, the sort of thing you really feel you can go anywhere, and you probably can. I saw that one down in Cannes. It was great to get aboard when it last. It's one of those boats that a lot of people have requested, so it was good to bring it to the channel as well. I met David Seal down there from Yachts for Sale channel, so that was great to meet up with him. And yeah, it was a great experience. Nice boat to be on board, nice boat to bring you, and a real proper little ship feel. Again, you see that little ship feel with the upright windscreens there and the overhang, and look at these wipers, the way they're built into the overhead. It's all proper, serious offshore stuff. Again, gives you that feeling and that sense of security. For example, if we come back to this door here, which closes over, you've got your normal handle there, but you've also got these, which when you close it, you can see how they all move. And those lock into up in behind here. You can see how that's strengthened. And that's to make that ultra secure. If you're out in big seas, you're not going to have any problems with water coming in, that's for sure. Number 8, the Prestige X70. Now this is an interesting one because Prestige make a 690, which is a very conventional flybridge cruiser. So with the X70, which is based on the same hull, they really did let their designers loose, and they came up with something very different and very interesting. I love the way it looks, and I really love the space on it. They created a huge amount of space by taking the cabin sides right out to the edge. Not everybody's taste. And as I say, they have the 690 if you want something a little bit more conventional, but yeah, it's it's daring, and I like what they've done with it. And it's actually quite a nice big area up on here, the way they've sort of squared it off at the bow, similar to the 690, which of course it would be, because as I say, they're based on the same hull, but they're a very, very different boat, as you can see. Let's go back down this side, because what we've got down here is the doorway that goes back into the helm position. But we can go past that and they've got another side deck. So the side decks are still there, they're just raised. And in return for that, as I say, you get that massive saloon and cockpit area. Now in at number 7 is the Cline C335. Now this is an upgrade of the Cline C330, and it's as though they spoke to the owner of every C330 and said, listen, if we were going to make this boat absolutely perfect, what should we change, what should we alter? And then went and did it, and it's a really well resolved boat as a result. I think that's going to be a very successful one for Cline. If you go into here, there's a couple more changes in here. One thing they've done is move the electrics, which used to be down here, into a dedicated locker over here, so that's a bit more convenient. So you've got all of your ship's systems there and all of your 240 volt stuff down underneath it. So that has changed. And then over here, this used to be one complete unit. They've split it, which makes sense. Let's just pop that out there. Because before you lifted this up to get to the galley, so you had that and that, but of course anything on it you had to move. What you can do now is leave one of those down, so if you're not cooking, you just want to get to the sink, which is underneath here, well then you can do without lifting everything up. So that's a nice touch. It's only a little thing, but it just helps the usability of the boat really. Now another really useful change is that before, when you were driving the boat, you're sat or stood here, and anybody with you is sat here facing backwards, which is fine when you're stationary. It's a lovely sociable area. It's not quite so good when you're going along. What you can do with this one is a bit of a two-handed job, but I'm sure I can do it while holding a GoPro. Let's hook that one there, lift that up. There we go, and now you've got forward-facing seating next to the helm. So a couple of people can sit here, somebody can sit here, and you're all together under this sliding roof. Great view forward, but what's brilliant about that, of course, is when you fold it back the other way, you're not losing out on a seating area that you would have got otherwise. What? Continuity error? No, honestly, no, I think it'll be fine. I don't think anyone's going to notice, trust me. Number 6, Nordhavn N41. A little bit of a departure for Nordhavn. It's a twin engine boat rather than the usual single engine and wing engine, for example. It doesn't have the separate pilot house, but it's a boat that's responded to customer demand. It has that Nordhavn Tongatoi feel to it, sort of thing that will go through anything and go anywhere. Proper rock solid machine. It's been really popular for them as well. Apparently they sold quite a few of those. So interesting boat to have a look at, interesting one to bring to the channel. I know you guys love Nordhavns, and so definitely had to make the cut. They've gone for a walnut wood on this. It's a satin finish. It looks really good. And there's a couple of things to point out. First of all, you can see we've got a seat here. What you can do with this is they've got what's called a trotter box. That's this area here. You can take that panel out and that will extend that right through, so you've got a full length berth. So for cruising, or if you've got an off watch crew member, they can sleep there if they want to. Or of course during the day, normally it's just seating opposite the dinette that's here. And in fact this table will drop as well, so that you can convert that. You've got blinds that drop down. There's a big fridge freezer over here, and then all the electrics are on this side. So your shore support, your 12 volt ship systems, everything is very easy to get at, very easy to control, exactly as you expect on this kind of boat. Number 5, Supermarine Swordfish. Now this is a very evocatively entitled machine, and it has the looks to back up that nomenclature. It's a beautiful looking thing. It looks fantastic. It's the sort of boat you can't date it. It could be brand new, it could be from the 60s, and that's exactly what they intended. It looks superb, it feels superb, it's lovely quality to it, and it's a serious performance machine. Now I was supposed to be taking that one out and having a drive of it later in the year, and it got kiboshed by the COVID. I was absolutely gutted. So we've not managed to rearrange that yet, but definitely for 2022, we're going to try and get that one out on the water and show you what that's like to drive, because I think that is going to be an amazing thing to be out on. These are actually shock mitigation seats. So if we have a look down the back here, you can actually see suspension units. And that means that when these are lifted up, you just pull that lever there, that clicks into place like that. You've then got a proper suspension seat to absorb the shock when you're running fast, and this is a properly fast boat. However, a lot of people just run with them down and just stand at the helm. And that's a really nice position then to command the boat from, because if you stood here, that's your view out over this beautiful sweep of stainless steel windscreen down that lovely foredeck. It's a really evocative driving position. I come back to that Aston Martin analogy again, because it's like that. It's the feeling of occasion on a boat like this. I'm absolutely blown away by it. It's fantastic. Number 4, Beneteau Grand Trawler 62. Now that's a boat that's had an incredible amount of thought gone into it. The chap that showed me around it down at the show, it took us about half an hour just to point everything out, and in fact I don't think we ever got to the bottom of everything. There's so much design gone into that boat, and it's the kind of thing, it's very practical, it's very sensible, and you could go down to it and lose yourself on board for the summer. It'd be a tremendous thing to have in the Med, which worked just as well in the UK as well. But yeah, an intriguing boat. It's the biggest trawler style boat that Beneteau have made, and I think it's going to be a real success for them. Oh, I think we might have a clear shot into here. Let's have a look. Galley area is here. So you've got cooking. They haven't put the galley aft, they put it in the centre of the boat, and that's great because it caters directly across to the dining area. You've got things in here like the dishwasher, of course. A lot of storage about the place. Your sink is in here. It's a storage like this. Little wine rack, the fridge freezer, it's all here. But what is quite neat is if we go over here, this has got all of your crockery. So it's right next to the dinette. In at number 3, the Absolute Navetta 64. And in fact, I could have given this one to the Absolute 60 Fly as well. Now those are boats which are new models for Absolute, and they've come up with a very intriguing layout of the interior. So on these, rather than having the owner's cabin buried right down in the centre of the boat as they often are, they've put it on the half deck forward. So you only go halfway down to the lower deck. You then have your owner's cabin forward, and then you drop down again to the rest of the accommodation further back, and it works brilliantly. It's well worth checking out those videos again, actually, because they've really gone their own way with it, and it really works. What's most impressive is the storage it gives you as well, because putting that owner's cabin up on a half deck means there's a massive amount of space underneath it, and that is exactly what you need on a cruising boat. Because what they've done is, rather than putting the master cabin right down in the centre of the boat as you often find on this style of boat, they've put it on like a half deck. So we're not all the way down, because the lower deck is down here. It's here. One of the two things that I think is particularly brilliant is, okay, so we're on a slightly lower deck to that forward cabin. If you remember, that's not on the main deck, that's kind of halfway down from the main deck, because that goes on around there. And you'll also remember, possibly, that the bed goes that way, and that's important because there's nothing under that bed, except there is. Come and look at this. What we have now is this doorway. It's taking us directly under that bed, and the height that is creating is giving this utility area. How lovely is this? So you've got your washing machine in here, you've got a load of storage, and things like the vacuum cleaner is built into here as well. That, for a boat that you might want to be spending a bit of time on, is genius. Look at all this space for bedding or whatever you want to keep on here. Just fantastic. And it doesn't stop here, because what do we got here? Another door. Number 2. Now this was a toughie because this nearly made it to number 1. In fact, I swapped this around with number 1 a couple of times. Couldn't quite make my mind up. It's the Sunseeker Sport Yacht 65. I fell in love with this. It's a beautiful boat. Some very, very intriguing details. The layout is great, and there's also various layout options on it, so you can tailor it to exactly how you want it. It's a nice size, it's manageable. It's one of those boats that just does everything. But best of all is the flybridge, because flybridges on these boats, they're all much the same. Well, not anymore. They've done something really intriguing. They've put a real sort of sports car feel to it, with low slung bucket seats and an intriguing helm position where the steering wheel can be raised up or dropped down really into your lap like a sports car. And it means when you're out on the water, it just gives you that sense of occasion and that feeling of purpose of a high performance machine. It's brilliant. I think they've been really clever with it. I think they've done a great job with it. And it's a boat I could see myself with if I had that kind of money. You can stand here and the helm is right here where you need it. The joystick control is right here where you need it. You can stand and look out and get the kind of view that you need. However, you get out the harbour, you want to go into sports car mode, park yourself down here, drop that down, and we are ready to go. Look at that. That is a proper sports car driving experience, because you've got the bucket seat, you've got your feet on these supports here, the wheel is right here, and suddenly you can really enjoy the performance of this boat. What a brilliant place to drive a boat from. That is absolutely fantastic. You could really have some fun with this boat. They put the throttles down here, feels a bit like you're in an aircraft. And then you've got your Garmin screen down there for your navigation, and those instruments again like we saw down at the lower helm, which again you've got a selector here you can flick through and you can dial up whatever you want to display in the center. So you have revs around the outside. This one's configured to knots at the minute, and then this one over here is now on depth, or as you can see it's flicking through rudder and so on. There we go, course over ground, whatever you want to have that set to. So given the enthusiasm for that Sunseeker, what could possibly knock it off the top spot? Well, it's the Princess Y72, because that's a boat that feels like Princess have distilled everything they've learned in 50 years of boat building into the perfect boat. It is tremendous. The layout, the resolution, the quality, the finish, everything about that boat is just right. It's a great size, and it's the kind of boat where no matter how much money you've got, you could buy that and you could say, that's it, I'm done. This is all the boat we're ever going to need. And it is, for most people, it really is. I think they've done a tremendous job with it. And as I say, desperate that I was to put the Sunseeker in first place, I think it pips it just, but it does it. It's absolutely spot on. And again, some lovely touches like the way they've done this twin tone headlining around here. This used to be just plain GRP up here, but now they've made this a real feature. This is a docking station, so if you're stern to berthing, you can stand at the back here, control the engines, control the thrusters, and guide the boat in. The other thing I'm going to show you down here, this is like a sort of safety locker. So it has all electric bilge pumps, of course, automatic, but there is a manual backup, and you can see how you can configure where you want that to pump from, so that handle comes out and pumps in there. It has automatic fire extinguishing systems in the engine room and lazarette, but you've got manual pulls here, and you've got stops for all the diesel supply for both engines and both generators. Obviously we'll go and look at those in a little while. Now there's a new wood finish in here which I haven't seen before on a Princess. This is silver oak. You can have the normal oak and you can also have walnut. So the normal finishes are still available, and you can have high gloss or satin. This is a satin finish, but this looks very modern and very contemporary. Now another thing I've noticed with this boat, it replaces the F70, but unlike that boat, there's no step. On that one you came through here, then stepped up to the saloon and forward, which is fine, but this is all one level, which is even nicer because you can just stroll through without having to sort of step up and down. I like this little bar area they put in here. I think that's a great place to sit and have a coffee in the morning or a drink in the evening. And then this is a really lovely social area around here. And look at these big windows, the way they drop all the way down. And I mentioned this is a Y series, not an F series, and that means it's just upgraded slightly with things like this beautiful wooden trim that they put in places like this. It has the name hi-fi system, which a lot of the Princesses have got now, but they've made a bit of a feature of this one rather than tucking it away, because these are actually quite attractive little units. If you can see that one there, and very tactile as well. The volume control up on the top there is just one of those things it's just nice to reach out and touch. Another new feature for this boat is these new helm seats. They've done a really nice job with these, with this beautiful wood in the back of them. And there's more than a hint of the Aston Martin, I think, about these, or maybe Bentley, the way they've done these headrests and this diamond stitching. I think they look superb. It's a feature on the Y series boats to have the bonning system. That's this one here. It's displaying engine instrumentation at the minute, but if I hit the home button, this gives access to all the systems on the boat. So navigation lights, for example, are here. You can go into fuel systems, see your state of fuel. What else have we got? Power is on here, so DC power, AC power, so where it's being drawn from and how much. And another interesting one is the water system, because if we hit that one, you can see that it's got backup pumps for the black water and the grey water. So you've got the main pump and then a backup, so you never have a problem. If you had an issue with a pump, you can just switch across. And the last thing to show you on here is the lighting system. Comfort lighting is that one. And this allows you to go into pre-programmed settings. So Optimum just puts everything on full. You can go into a harbour mode, you can go into an evening mode which dims things down. You can have a boarding mode which lights up all the exterior lighting. You can switch everything off from here, so you don't have to run around the boat turning everything on and off. You can control it all from there. Obviously there are switches around the boat as well. And another thing I wanted to show you is they've made every engineering area where you can get to it without tools. So that's what this up here is for. If we drop that one down, you'll see that takes us into things like air conditioning, routing and wiring, but you don't need to get the tools out to get to it. And that's something they've worked very hard on to make sure that if ever you have a problem, it can be sorted out very quickly and very easily. And as the owner, you get your own private suite down here. One thing I'll show you just in this lobby area, the stairs that we just came up were here, and you used to be able to lift the stairs to get to storage. What they've done now is put the access on this side, so that is the inside of the stairs that go down. Obviously that's a much better place to be able to get to it from. Big mirror here, and then this doorway takes us into the master cabin. Look at that. So that's it. Let me know what you think in the comments. It's a very subjective list, and you could have moved a lot of those around. But that's my top 10. Let me know what yours would be. Now there's a super yacht top 10 coming as well, so look out for that. And in the meantime, I'll wish you a very happy Christmas and a fantastic 2022. Let's hope it's a little bit less bonkers than the last couple of years. See you soon. Bye-bye.